might as well just start, huh? It's going to be a weird session, probably. Like, there's going to be some play, but probably not all that much. And then we'll talk about some other things in a little bit. But to start, I think we'll just start. How about that? Figure it out as we go. All right. So, the group of you just teleported into the familiar teleportation chamber. Top level of Paragus Tower. And we're ensnared in a powerful momentary stasis. Though you were quickly released after you were greeted by a aged and alternate version of the Stephen you all know. He introduced himself as Telmar, first wizard of the First Order. Said there was much for you all to talk about. I think after we cut last week, I told you all that this session, that session was kind of like a season finale of sorts, and that the next session, this session, would be kind of a session 0 type deal. And that's still the case, but as I kind of said, I want to wrap up some things, and we're going to jump into play a little bit to kind of set the stage for where we're going. So with that, ask you to imagine the next bit as like an unfolding discussion that you're having with Telmar as you kind of are descending the levels of Paragus Tower together. He'll kind of answer your questions as you go. But the best way I can do this is just give you this kind of lore drop and, imagine it as a conversation. And then at the end, we can have more talky. But this just gets all the information that I want to make sure I get out there. It's a little monologue-y. Telmar will tell you this. The current year in this timeline is 1434. But as you may have guessed, this timeline and the one most of you originated in are quite different, as is evidenced by our dual presence here. Kind of looking to Steve. I had known this day was coming, but ideally hoped that I wouldn't be meeting myself today. Because I now officially know that this timeline is, well, doomed. Existing around us are an infinite number of chronal planes, timelines, dimensions, whatever you prefer them to be called. One of them being the Prime. It is the first timeline, the true timeline, bound by divinity and the arcane. All the others are fractals, splits, alternative choices, a weave of splitting timelines all playing out into every eventuality. Though all of them inconsequential to the Prime timeline, so long as they stayed parallel, disconnected. As you can probably guess, that is no longer the case. Something happened to disturb the Prime timeline, an event that brought multiple timelines crashing together, making it possible to pull things from one to the next or even travel between them with relative ease. As I said, seeing you here now, Stephen, I am ensured that this plane is doomed to fail, and will likely do so within the next 24 hours, give or take. Hopefully not sooner. The longer we stay together in one place, the worse the paradox will grow, and in the end, the timeline will collapse, coming to an end in one catastrophic way or another. Traveling between these chronal planes, wow, that sound got hot. Sorry. Traveling between these chronal planes, as I said, is relatively easy, though you must first know how to do it. When coming to a plane, there are, how do I explain this? Two paths, two options. The first is the safer of the two, the merging path, we'll call it. Your being will essentially leap into and merge with the version of you that exists in that chronal plane that you're traveling to, thus removing any potential for immediate paradox and prolonging the stability of the timeline that you're jumping into. Of course, this merging path is much easier when traveling alone, for it's quite unlikely for a group of timeline travelers, whatever you want to call them, to find another timeline where the whole group will be together on the other side. So when traveling like this as a group, having a meeting place, a large amount of time to spare is of utmost importance, because it's likely that some of you could potentially end up on the opposite side of the world from the other, with no way of quickly rejoining your group. Reconnaissance is quite helpful, but mastering ability to scry through chronal planes is tough. The other is a divergent path, like any other teleport, only through chronal planes. You risk the paradox of running into some other version of yourself, collapsing the timeline before you have the chance to complete whatever it is you were trying to do there. Or worse, you could trigger an immediate collapse, having no way to get back out, leading to, well, the death of that timeline and the end of yours as well. Why am I telling you all this now? Well, because I believe that you, kind of looks around, at least most of you are from the prime timeline, giving you all the best chance at actually setting things right. While all other versions of me, us, you, are doomed to ultimately fail, those of you from the prime timeline are divinely fated to survive. And don't twist those words into me saying you're unkillable or invincible or something, because truth be told, you're just as fragile as all the other versions of yourself. But if you were to somehow get to the end of your own timeline, unlike me or all other versions of me, you have more than one eventuality. You have the opportunity to fail or succeed, when all other versions that aren't from the prime timeline only have the option of failure. Failure against what? Or who? The cosmos, fate, the gods, sort of. I believe you already know some of this, so on to Viscerus now. Viscerus has leveraged this merging timeline in a way no other being saw coming. I'm not sure if he engineered it all himself or if he was simply on the ready to take advantage of the situation that unfolded. As a divine being, he only exists in earnest in the prime timeline, though his avatars, sort of other versions of him, exist in all the others. as far as I know, he's been using bits and pieces from the other timelines to bolster his grasp on the Prime, giving him what he needed to distract the other gods and survive the event that killed them all. And to help him build what he needs to achieve his own goals, which I can only assume at this point is ultimate control over the Divine Throne and thus control over all the timelines of everything. With no other divine beings to check him, he would be the divinity. He could erase everything that has ever been and rewrite it all to his will. But as you know, there's still a resistance against him, and his grasp is not yet fully clenched, though it's closing rather quickly. With all that out of the way, any questions? And this next bit can be in character and out of character, however you want to do it. But that's the lore that's been dropped.
In character.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you're here in 1434?
This isn't my time.
Oh.
This is one where I came to meet you. That's why we haven't destroyed the timeline immediately by meeting. We had to be here before we existed.
Gotcha.
And what happens to the people in this room if the timeline collapses?
If it collapses now, we'll all die. Unless we can jump to another.
How does one do that?
We'll get to that.
Okay. Got it.
We get back to the Prime timeline easily.
Relatively.
Or
What do you know about this? I'll hold up the sphere.
Yeah, that's a very ancient relic, which I think we can use to our advantage, possibly. Viscerus will be looking for that. As far as I know, he's been able to, well, as I said, kind of pull bits and pieces from different times, and I think he's using that to do it. That's not the only one, clearly, because they exist in other timelines, but I think they all connect in some way or another.
But is there a way of knowing if this one is the one from the Prime? Or are they all the same?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if we could determine that or not. And yeah, they might all be one. Kind of breathes, exhales heavily.
Was Nothgeeth reaching out to us? Actually, hang on. Do we share memories? Or the Have I
No.
lived a separate? Okay, so Nothgeeth didn't like reach, meet you in an alternate dimension, like 2 months ago or whatever it was. You have no idea what I'm talking about, right?
No, I've never directly interacted with the god other than sort of Viscerus, but not really.
Okay, got it. Well, pocket that question then. Why was it important for you to meet us here today?
So that you could learn how to jump.
And Yofun is only dead in this time.
He kind of exhales. So he did die then. I kind of assumed when he wasn't with you, but
Out of character, if Marshall had been there last week,
yeah, he died.
would not have. So, like,
Oh.
Nate at one point mentioned, like, we might need to make a call. Work's not that important. And, like, out loud, I said, do it. Like, do it right now. Like, especially now knowing that Yofun would have died, like, would have 100% been like, got it. Give me 2 minutes to get on roll 20.
Hurry, get to the phone. Your phone's dying.
Yeah.
Tried our best.
Yeah, I had 2 5th levels left. Could have done something.
It was brutal. It was a tough one.
Yeah, no, y'all were amazing. The fact that Yofun's the only one who died was incredible.
And Roll20 really tried to kill our vibe that whole time.
Yeah. I panicked when it was like almost a 4-hour video, and then realized an hour and a half of it was just figuring out Roll20. It's like, oh, okay, got it.
Screaming at Roll20, yeah.
Yeah. Do y'all hear that? Like a big feedback? No? Okay.
Yeah,
just me.
a little bit.
Okay.
Might be me.
Okay. Maybe you're a Preston.
Yeah, it seems like it's coming from Bartlett.
Gotcha.
Soman, being a scientist, will ask him again, like, is it important that we learn how to jump from you just to get back to the Prime, or in order to pull things from other timelines that'll help us?
To get out of this timeline, you'll need to jump.
How
Is
did
there-
you...
Sorry,
Sorry, go ahead. No,
just
go
to
ahead,
follow up on that, is there any reason for us to do any jumping at all other than getting back to the Prime?
I mean, that depends what you want to do, and when you want to do it. To be
World's our
honest,
oyster.
well, once you have the ability, yeah, you can go kind of wherever as you see fit. Not saying it's like I said, relatively easy, and I mean that when comparing it to not ever being able to do it before the worlds collided. Planes, chronal planes, as I like to call them. But so it's not without risk, and it's not without taking a lot of oomph to do it. But it's doable. The more times it gets done, the more chances of it not working exactly as expected. I've been years off before, and that's not great.
How did you know to be here today?
So there's a group of us that kind of figured some things out, and we knew here around now was where we needed to be to kind of start this ball roll.
There's a group of you?
Yeah, I'm the first wizard of the First Order. There's more of us.
Cool. Interesting. How old are you?
83.
Does he look?
He's elfish, so he kind of looks young, relatively young, right? But he looks older than Steven.
Steven
And he
full elf or half?
also looks fucked up.
I'm full.
He has that like half his face is kind of like he's got that scar. I said like it kind of runs down his face onto his neck, and you can actually see like in the scar like half of his face is like pale white. Like the skin is like pale white, almost like semi-translucent, not like fully translucent or anything. And is like that eye on that side of his face is just a little like clouded.
Oh, it's a
Okay.
scar. In the video, I thought you meant it was like a tattoo, like an arcane.
Yeah, like it could be a tattoo, it could be, but it's like covered, like everything is.
It's not just a piece. It's
Intense.
not Mike
Yeah.
Tyson. It's the whole deal.
Yeah.
Tyson will think to Steven, damn, you get fucked up at some point.
Yeah, that's not me, thankfully. Or won't be me.
And we'll tell.
Yeah.
I like to imagine Lucas during this whole conversation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got no idea what's going on.
That Krzik vodka packed a punch, didn't it? Or whatever it was you were drinking, waiting for Yofun and
Yeah, it would have killed any other man, probably.
and
Yeah, it was UNT unidentified.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Liquid?
Yeah.
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 Like Lagandu was going down, the study path in this tower when you picked him up, which is interesting too. For like having this conversation here now in 1434. Mind you.
Do you have any idea how we jumped timelines?
Not exactly, but it had something to do with either that or Viscerus specifically.
Either the orb or Viscerus?
Yeah, we haven't nailed that down. You don't know?
No, Dyson, Lagandu, and I, we thought we might have been killed by Viscerus, and we woke up in the orb.
Yeah, I thought I was turned to dust.
That's good. Nice reference.
Yeah, he kind of just did that.
Do you know Saru by chance?
Not, I don't, but I know who you're talking about.
How do you know that?
He was on a trajectory with his original trajectory had him here. Now, there are a few others that were here, but their paths changed.
Like Xerxes as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about him because we were pretty confident that him and Salic were going to be here. And no offense, and he kind of looks at some of the other people. Not all like, not all of you I expected.
Yeah, they made it out of the chamber, I think is the simplest word. Birthing pool, I think is what Viscerus called it. That's where we met him for the first time.
So they're not dead?
You tell me. I don't know. I have no idea. Because our characters don't know the cutscenes we saw.
No, he pulls a book and starts writing in it. Like, I'll have to. There'll be time. I'll have to look into this before we figure everything out. Because if they're not dead, then maybe they're somewhere else, somewhen else.
Yeah, not where, but when. Because Saru, when Dyson and Lagandu and I woke up in the prison zone of the orb, Did you get fucked up by going in there, by the way? Is that like why your face looks like that?
Going in where? Sorry.
The orb.
No, this didn't happen in there.
How did that happen?
We can get into that. Just
Oh,
continue.
okay. Okay.
I think it's bad.
Where was I? Yeah, I don't want to like leave that for another. Like you said, time is short. That's high on the list.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about this.
Okay, I don't. You're me, so.
Yeah,
it's a
but
little-
true.
But Saru spoke to us when we woke up through his ocarina and said to find Paragus. And
Yeah, I know that his timeline is still going. Actually,
Saru's?
yeah.
Or Paragus?
No, Saru. His timeline just it changed. His trajectory completely changed. It's as far as I know right now, the last time we checked on him, it was still out there. Like it was still moving. Which means he's not dead, technically.
Yeah.
But
So are you? but
Xerxes and Selig were supposed to be here. I'm sorry, gnomish man that I don't know your name. You were unexpected. Lucas, we thought you would be here, actually. But, yeah, I wasn't expecting the gnome.
Zoman's got a sinking feeling in his gut with all this doom and gloom talk. Since he came into the sphere via a different avenue than the people that were expected, and has since been told that the gnomes have been wiped out and he's like the only hope to fix that somehow. But now is realizing maybe he can't do that because he's not from the Prime anyway, and will ask if there's a way to ascertain, since he came in via a different method, which timeline he's from.
That might be possible to figure out. Would have to get some people on it.
So
And
you're
those
the
people will figure it out in the next 23 hours and 51 minutes.
That's unlikely. But time is relative.
So what happens if a non-prime goes to the prime?
Oh, it can be done. Just don't run into yourself, which I don't suspect you will.
Not unless it's hundreds of years ago. We can't go back in time there, can we?
Sounds like we could.
You might be able to. It would be difficult and could be dangerous because paradoxes.
He's already working on a way. He's figured out a way to get back to his people already.
Steven will join you in that because he's got ideas too.
I mean, I can't say that I'm surprised that you would think that the leader of the Immortal Barracuda would be needed in such an instance as this. But why would you think I would be? I don't even know where I am. And I don't think I'm drunk. I might be drunk.
Yeah, there's the best way I can put it is equations. It's kind of, it just seemed like your trajectory was going to land you with us. I mean, this is your timeline.
I guess that's true.
If you want to go home, you technically can. But I will tell you, I mean, it won't mean a lot in about, 22 hours, give or take.
Huh. I'll have to think on it. Do you have any alcohol or?
Yeah, there's some wine down in the cabinet.
Okay, perfect. I'll help myself.
Sounds
So
like a
you-
solution.
So you're the planeswalker.
No, I mean, kind of. I can be in some dimensions. But I have been, I guess.
But if we're different, and I'm from the Prime, at least I think you said that,
Yes.
then who's the planeswalker in my dimension?
Someone else. It's not me. There is a well. There's probably multiple pair guy. Yeah. It's an easy name to assume. Kind of
Like Batman.
haven't heard of him, but yeah, probably like that. I haven't been to that plane. That'd be fucking weird.
I'm a bat.
That was good.
What else? Is this where you thought tonight was going, everyone?
If we go back to our time, do we go back into ourselves?
You are yourselves there.
So we're
What do you-
currently not there
Correct.
at a certain point in time.
Also correct. That's why going back in time in your own timeline is dangerous.
And we could go back at a different time and try and preempt what's wrong with the Prime timeline.
You could, yeah.
When
What has happened in this timeline?
I'm honestly not all that sure. I've been here for, I don't know, like 72 hours.
Do
And
you
I've
know
been
what
in-
causes
I've been
this
in the
timeline
tower.
to end?
You do. Technically, I do. We do. We're paradoxing it up right now. It's just not going to immediately collapse because neither of us are the Steve the Telmar that's supposed to be here. He's not born yet, but we're still fucking this timeline up just being here.
And where do you plan on going?
This is yeah, that's another thing. This is where my timeline comes to an end. Yeah, don't freak out. Don't be worried. It's not where your time. And I've had a lot of time to kind of come to grips with this. But yeah, this is it. This is kind of it for me. That's why this is kind of important.
Do you know when my timeline ends?
No, I don't know when any of your timelines end. I think the only way I think only you could figure that out. You can see them burn out.
Where?
Complicated. I'm using the relative. You can see them. I mean, we can predict them equations to see when they're going, and you can track when they're not going anymore. Such as, some of your fallen friends who aren't here.
So you're sacrificing yourself for what? To make sure Vistris is stopped in the prime?
Yeah, to keep the prime timeline going. My timeline was doomed from the get-go, as I've come to learn. So there's only one timeline that truly matters unless some other timeline can take its place, which I don't think is possible. Maybe it is. I don't know.
So can
But-
mortal men stop Viserys, or do they need to go back and stop the burning? Or because it sounds to me like from what these guys say, they kind of got curb stomped.
Yeah, I mean, he's not
Not wrong.
not
was there, I
not.
saw
I
it.
mean, it's a god.
I wasn't born, not my fault.
You gotta find a way to defeat God, and that's not easy. That's why there's this kind of resistance to help make that possible. But yeah, I mean, technically, the only people that can do it are from the Prime timeline. We can help. We can lend a hand and attempt to weaken him in ways that make it possible for you. But those of us not from the Prime timeline won't be able to do much if it comes to blows.
Do you know anything of the divine embers, the divine spark?
Yeah, we know a bit about that. It's relatively recent on the grand scheme of things, but it does make people easier to track. That's why I'm kind of thinking we might be able to find Xerxes, because we know he has one. Selig might be more difficult, but fingers crossed they're in the same place, same timeline at least.
Do you know how to stop Viserys?
No, I wish I did. There's thoughts, there's ideas, and after all this, after this 21 and 45 minutes, 21 hours 45 minutes of time that we have together, who's counting them? Someone will. There will be others. Not others of us, but other help.
Members of the First Order.
Correct. Yeah.
Interesting.
But do you know any of them?
Do you know any of them?
Yeah,
Alright.
you're an order of time wizards or something.
Um,
It could be from anywhere or when.
They are from anywhere and when. I doubt you've bumped into them at any point in time up to this point, but. And I don't know exactly who's coming.
What else is there?
And when. What's that?
Who are your friends?
He rattles off a bunch of names that you've never heard of, that I don't want to say out loud.
I was thinking like it was like a Council of Rick situation. Like it was just all it was all various different versions of Steven.
That's
You
what I
know?
thought too, and I was like, "That's interesting."
Not all Stevens.
It's all the way down.
Oh, sorry, my thing's going out. I just said all the names really quick.
Oh, bummer. We'll have to do that on replay later.
Yeah, if you watch it,
The YouTube.
it'll be on the YouTube. It definitely didn't do that on the YouTube.
Does Viserys get defeated in certain timelines?
I can't predict the future.
You're 83. Haven't you already lived past this?
There isn't a war with Viserys in every timeline. Some timelines are peaceful as fuck.
Yeah. So okay.
Which is great, and it's like, well, why don't we just go live there?
Or just go and do what they did.
But they didn't fight Viserys, probably. They never had to.
Like argue with myself because I know I'm always right.
on that note, there are other us out there, and it's not always pretty. So just everyone keep that in mind.
This
if you
is
would-
pretty.
He turns his head the other way. Yeah, at least I'm fighting for the right side, if you know what I'm saying.
See, there's evil Stevens out there.
Again, relative, but
Ones that are committing war crimes or something, I'm sure.
probably, you know.
You introduced yourself as Telmar. Were you not
Correct.
kidnapped?
Correct. No. No.
That's cool.
His mom is happily alive.
Yeah, that's cool.
We lived as a child.
Yeah, see, this is the
Once our group discussion ends, that conversation will happen.
yeah, this is a road that I will say you don't want to go down, and I mean that to any of you, because getting attached to the hopes, dreams, things that you want, they're out there. They're in another timeline. They're happening. They've happened. They're going to happen. But that timeline is doomed to fail and end and crash and die.
It's a real Miguel O'Hara situation. Shout out to Across the Spider-Verse.
So, on Netflix now, anybody that wants to watch
Right now streaming on Netflix. Please go watch it.
Streaming on Netflix. Go watch it.
Or Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange.
I don't know that one.
Right, Nate? That kind of counts.
Yeah, Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, I'm tracking.
I haven't seen Spider-Verse, so I was just making sure I had the reference correct.
Netflix, jump on there, stream.
Yeah, then you know exactly what you need to do. So go fix that.
We've covered
So
my
bes-
Spider-Man opinion, though.
So besides teaching us how to move timelines, is there anything else you can offer us, or is it just that one thing?
Mainly that, and just the info dump. I can tell you the possible ideas that have been
Ramifications.
floated. Yeah, ideas that have been floated about things to do with that sphere, trying to paradox it out of existence, trying to go back and paradox it at some point and gain Viscerus's attention, if that's something that at some point may want to be done. The more you move, the better, because it's going to be harder for him to track you. To be honest, that's a big way of a lot of these timelines collapsing. Is his doing.
Viscer's
Yeah.
coming in and taking the thing that he wants.
Yeah, so kind of moving often is helpful. The Prime timeline, it's going to be harder for him to deal with you there to some extent, just because that's kind of where you're already supposed to be.
Do you know what he's been taking from the other timelines?
Not everything, but for instance, the mind flares, that wasn't part of your timeline. They were ripped out of another that they had already won one version of Briarwood, or then they were plopped right in.
What do you know about Isabel?
A little. Her trajectory changed clearly, as she's not here. But we anticipated her being here at some point, and her trajectory kind of vanished. We assume she's dead.
She might as well be. Interesting. So you didn't interact with her in your timeline?
No, I barely interacted. I don't think I interacted with any of you in my timeline. I don't know where you all are. It's not really. They're now players in the game. At least not from my timeline.
How do we locate Xerxes?
Yeah, I can get on that. I'll have to send a message to someone who can hopefully get on that and start figuring that out.
Dear Nate, do you want to play Xerxes or Lucas? Love the DM.
So if there aren't any more immediate questions for him, I can get on some other things that I have to talk about. But if you still have some stuff, because this is good combo. So if there's still some stuff, then
Steven still has stuff, but it's not immediate pressing.
okay.
So we can
Anything
do the
else
other
from
stuff.
anybody that has anything else for this time traveling Elven man?
Are there any rules we should know of?
Yeah, there will be
Okay.
both in world and mechanical.
Okay. I meant in world, but mechanical works too.
He says that, and mechanical. It's like we're playing a big game.
Is he going to expound, or do we need to ask about when he said the sphere might be useful? The whole 3 gatekeepers, and then you get the keys to the temple. Or does he even know about that? Or is he thinking about using a different plan for the orb? Or
Yeah, if you bring that stuff up, he doesn't know a lot about inside the orb. And he might be interested in some of that. But yeah, he doesn't necessarily know its underpinnings and how it works. He knows that it's out of time. It exists out of time and in all timelines. And that he knows that Viserys is using it to facilitate a lot of moving of his own pieces, through it and within it, similar to how Zoman exists in this timeline, and how you interacted with a very, very, very old lich named Ragul as you escaped. He thinks that the sphere is facilitating that life in some way, or on life, if you will. But yeah, I mean, as far as using it, as he said, it'll have kind of that's not his whole stratagem, but he does believe that there's some thoughts on doing so. One of which he brought up is using it to draw Viserys's attention in the event that you wanted to throw down or something. Not that you're ready for that, but that he thinks there's a way that you could do that, or at least his hive mind of time wizards believe. But then there might be other ways to use it as well that he's not aware of.
one more out of character question would be, and he may not know this, but what exactly was the burning, and are the gods gone forever, no matter what we do? We're just trying to add one more to the gone forever list.
He doesn't know exactly what the burning was. He thinks it's one of two things. It's the fallout from something actually taking place, like the gods trying to save the world, or that it was engineered by Viscerus as a way to get rid of all his competition, or possibly a combination of both. That's his best guess, but they don't have a concrete knowledge of what it was. As far as if they're all actually dead, the knowledge of the divine sparks existing means technically no. That technically they can be, reborn in some way, shape, or form. Unless, of course, the throne is sat upon and ruled by one that doesn't, Iron Fist mentality and kills them all for good. Like, they can be snuffed out, essentially, is what he believes. But that's also like real high level stuff that he's just like, this is just what we think. Divinity's weird and stranger things have happened.
It was a good show.
What else?
What was some of the other stuff you referred to?
Nothing.
What was some of the other stuff, Michael, you referred to?
Oh, yeah. So the other stuff is kind of happens after, some time. We can always jump back. But he will, leave you all to yourselves for a time so that he can contact who he needs to contact and talk about Xerxes, locating him, trying to locate him in time, which will end up being possible. So now we'll do a little talk with some things. So he will eventually tell you that they've managed to track the position of Xerxes in a timeline in the year 1476. Is where they have him placed. And that is when we kind of see these flickering montage of scenes just kind of streaming by. We see flashes of the fight in the cradle of the Death God with Viscerus. We see many of you falling as Selig and Xerxes individually are both able to escape through that portal. Then we see the flashes from some of those scenes that we saw. We see Xerxes climbing down the ladder in the clock tower talking to Sarah, watching as Anna emerges from a centrillion carriage with a child in her arms. We see the explosion of the clock tower above Queen Selrani, chaos that followed. We see Selig waking up in a puddle within the cargo hold of a dark ship, having a conversation with what appears to be one of the Elven twins. We see that same ship anchored at port of Greyforge as weeks pass. all the members kind of remaining on board and being overseen by various guards, blade singers, etc. We see flashes of a mysterious humanoid with avian features breaking Xerxes out of a dark dungeon deep below the Keep of Greyforge, where he was being held for the attempt on Silverhoney's life. And then finally, we see a carriage of barrels being delivered upon Salig's ship, laundry and food, for those being kind of held inside, as no living beings are being let into Greyforge. The montage kind of flips forward even further than we've seen. And it's dark, it's the dead of night, and we're inside that same hull of the ship where Salig first awoken. And we see Salig sitting by candlelight, reading over a parchment that had arrived hours earlier along with those barrels. We can see the barrels sitting there, a crowbar atop them. And in the darkness of the hold, from somewhere amongst the plethora of covered statues and art objects that were kind of anchored and packed for transit, in a very shadowy area emerges that same avian humanoid that we had seen in a previous flash. We watch on as Salig and this avian humanoid began speaking to one another. And eventually we see them pry the top of the barrel open, and inside we see this kind of scrunched up, knees to chest, broken, beaten, exhausted Xerxes inside, having just been spirited away by this avian humanoid hours before. And as that scene kind of fades out in the distance, we hear the sounds of bells from Greyforge ring out into the night. And that is where we will kind of talk about the flip side, the session 0 portion.
The upside down, if you will.
Of our story. Yeah, many years later than where we are right now, when we are right now in Paragus Tower. There is Xerxes, Salig, and a mysterious PC. They will be joined by some others. And they will be going on a little adventure of their own. That's the story that we're going to immediately follow moving forward. The others will have something to figure out before we get into all that. Because they will be kind of working to locate this group, specifically Xerxes and Salig, and bring the two together, all in hopefully the same timeline, all hopefully alive. But we'll fucking see. Now we'll. And then when this supergroup merges, then we'll figure out how things progress from there. But we're trying to get the band back together. That's the goal. There's a lot of complexity, which is why I kind of wanted to do this live and all together, because I want what do we want to call? I don't know. We've got because there's prime people on both sides, so it's very hard to discern what to call Group A and Group B. But the Tower Group and the Greyforge Group is kind of what we'll go with for now.
This is Prime Selig and Prime Xerxes.
Prime Selig and Prime Xerxes. They have jumped and merged with their alternate versions of themselves, as was described earlier. Why we saw Xerxes wake up in a clock tower, why we saw Selig wake up in his ship. They did not. There isn't another Xerxes and Selig running around. But this is also why both of them had no fucking idea how they got where they got to, and only had vague memories that kind of flooded back of their actual past lives. Over the last 2 weeks, Xerxes and Selig have had the opportunity to remember themselves and remember what had happened up to that point. They had flashes where they both remembered the fight against Viscerus. They had flashes of their previous lives, but they don't really know the beings that they took over. They don't know the lives that those beings have lived exactly. Xerxes has had a lot of time to think in his cell beneath the Greyforge dungeon, and he's also had the opportunity to have some conversations with that same owl-like humanoid that broke him out eventually. That may have helped him kind of place himself and figure out what the fuck was going on, though that's kind of a hard thing to figure out. Selig as well has had some conversations, but those have been more through like past messages and things, also with this owl-like humanoid, to kind of set up the escape of Xerxes and then their eventual escape out of Greyforge with a highly wanted prisoner, I guess. So yeah, there's some complexities there, but they are headed to a small village outside Greyforge in the woods. It's the end of winter, and they're going to meet a contact of the owl. And the contact will be who Marshall will be playing, as the contact is Gildor.
The only reason I'm not angry. You ripping level 14 Steven from me. Gildor is fine.
And then I am working on exactly where Preston's character comes in, but we have his character as well. So we just have to discuss them. So the stage is set, kind of. And the goal is trying to figure out how the fuck to get back for Xerxes and Selig. Gildor will have some information here in this bit, and but not nearly as solidly as what information like Telmar has just given you. The understanding is much different from his point of But Xerxes and Selig both know they escaped Viscerus just by the skin of their teeth, and know that he's out there and going to be looking.
Are we assuming that everyone else is dead?
Yeah,
If I remember right, Selig escaped and Xerxes saw everyone else is dead.
Yeah, Xerxes would be running under that assumption, I presume. Selig would be after speaking to Xerxes, I also assume. So, yeah, it's safe to say they all got fucking murked, and you got out, and hopefully you have a head start before he comes and murks you too.
I just mentioned that because, like, if we found Steven or Dyson or Lagandu, we would just be like, oh yeah, these are not our versions.
Yeah, you kind of over the course of the 2 weeks kind of get the idea that you are not you're in a different world, essentially. But what that looks like if you do find those people, I mean, that's interesting, and so that's something that you could try to do potentially, if that's a path that you want to explore. It could, as I. It could go many different ways, as was led on earlier by Pelmar.
Well, and there's no guarantee any of the three of them would be anywhere close to Greyforge.
They may not be close to Greyforge. They may not be alive.
Right.
You know, they may not even exist. You saw a very different Anna than you saw Fent actually fulfilling his paladin training. Apparently, like there is some things happening that are very different. You inhabited the body of a Xerxes who may or may not have tried to fucking kill the queen. I don't know. I mean, things are weird. Things are strange. But yeah. Gildor wants to seek embers, which he can't do here. In this realm. So that's going to be a path that you're going to be moving on. But you're going to have to get back to the Prime Plane to do that.
How does Gildor... So, is this Prime Gildor, or is this just...
Gildor is a little different than the other ones.
I was going to say, like, how does he even know about it?
Well, me and you will get it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Email in drafts, got it.
Yeah.
Do the embers only exist in the Prime, or they just for sure exist in the Prime, may also exist other places?
That one. They definitely exist in the Prime.
Gotcha.
They may or may not exist in other places. But important to think. So, as far as embers go, obviously, currently Prime people have them, which seems good. If Prime people are going to fight a god, but also could be useful for non-Prime people that might have a chance to like help you in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, that's future talk.
Cart, 8 horse.
That's yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless you're ready, you know what you can do. So you tell me. I haven't faced any 14th level people yet. Maybe you guys are there. Is that what you are? 14.
That's why I'm so angry.
And then Xerxes and Selig. What are you?
Oh, I'd have to look.
13, I think.
I think 12 or 13. They're pretty close. We have not, because all we've done since they died was go through the sphere.
Yeah, 13.
So it's 13.
I apparently made it out of there with 35 hit points to spare, so suck it.
So we'll probably I am originally imagined that this was going to be lower than that, but we'll just run it at 13, I think. Which I'm going to regret saying, but it's fine. So yeah.
I mean, if you need to nerf us, like,
No, it doesn't make.
These are different bodies.
They are different bodies, and I thought of that, but I also thought of how much I would have hated that as a player. Yeah, I don't, because I also, cards on the table. If you do survive this side of things, when you get back, I want you to also be 14th level. That's the goal.
Seems reasonable.
And I don't want to have to get you super leveled up, like multiple, like starting at 8. We'll be playing for 2 more years before we go back. So.
Insert Stefan and Dizone and Laganda.
Yeah, so then flip back to the other side for a minute. Once you've kind of located that you know generally where Xerxes is, that's kind of going to be like, you either are planning to find a way to pick him up in the interim, or you're going to go back to the Prime and then eventually try and scoop. But that'll be some like
perform a time extraction.
Yeah, difficult stuff. Very delicate. And that'll probably happen when it's the most cinematic for that to happen.
Excellent. It could be like Inception, where just we keep cutting back and forth.
Yeah. The collapsing of the timelines. Think of like Inception, just fucking going wild. What a good movie that is. But yeah, what else? Now that we have 2 campaigns happening at the same time that are in different times but have the primes, how's your brains? Is it working? Good? Brains are working? Mine isn't.
Catching up.
I feel like this is the first time I haven't been utterly confused in about 2 years.
I'm only not confused because like the focus is like, okay, Xerxes and Selig have to escape their timeline. Like that's the goal. Like if we weren't dealing with that, then it would be like, okay, so are we still going after Embers? Do we want to like drop in the Prime pre something and try and kill baby Hitler? Like what are we trying to achieve? But since that's not an option at the moment,
yeah, not an option yet, but it probably will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you have a goal, especially because like from like player knowledge wise, Steven, Dyson, Zoman, you guys know that the timeline that Xerxes is in, the timeline that Selig is in, is doomed.
Yeah, so we have to get them out.
Yeah, and they don't necessarily know that. But they know they need to get. We have to go back. Like so.
Yeah, we do. Been waiting for that all night.
So like, there's that, and who knows when they collapse the timeline on themselves, but it might happen. It might not. I don't know.
would Telmar have an idea of urgency? Like, what's stopping Viserys from, if he even needs an ember, probably doesn't, going right past the angel, right up into the celestial sphere, and sitting on the throne right now? Or is this more like he's going to be tormenting the material plane for a good long while, so go around and 100% everything and deal with him whenever you can actually come up with something?
Probably somewhere in between. He knows it's definitely more complicated than just doing that. And that there are other forces that still exist in the universe, making that more difficult for him to do. But he doesn't know how long all those forces are going to continue to be able to be at odds. And he doesn't necessarily know what all those forces are. And that's kind of why he doesn't know kind of how long. And then he also doesn't know all the cards in Viserys' deck. There seems to be some kind of grand plan that's kind of playing out.
Well, guys, Clavius got a symbol of Viserys back in the very first pre-session session, and I thought that was so cool, and I had no idea he would turn out to be such a dick. Sorry about that.
He did. There was
It's okay. I forgave you for Clavius a long time ago.
Were you surprised Viserys turned out to be a dick?
Yeah, Viserys. I was like, oh, he's just another god. You know, he's got his yin and yang thing going on with the other ones. He's a needed, kind of necessary thing. No, he's a tool.
I wonder if there's anything about Viserys in any of the other 0.5s.
I can say with certainty, no, in mine. Ours was much simpler.
Yeah, I don't think there's any Viserys stuff.
If there was, we didn't find it. Let's put it that way.
Some might say you walked right through it.
Or what, the gelatinous cube? Oh, I see what you mean. Like, yeah, we walked. I know what you mean by like
small underground chapel.
Yeah. Now right. I thought you meant like picking up an item and carrying it with us, but no, now I understand what you're saying. Does Gildor have a shield guardian in this timeline?
Maybe.
Okay.
He did when you guys were like 8th level. Now I gotta figure it out.
Don't you dare take it from me, Michael.
Maybe he parked it somewhere else. I don't know.
Parked it in a different timeline. Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
Whoops. That's why.
Dude, where's my shield guardian? We did see it in one of the very early flashbacks.
We did the very first cutscene.
Or the very last time. The last cutscene of the first.
Yeah. How'd Telmar get all effed up?
He's busy right now. He can't get into that.
Okay. Alright, got it.
Gotta leave a cliffhanger for the fans.
waiting patiently.
As far as the Tower group goes, Dyson would want to return to the Prime timeline first.
Instead of like trying to go straight to Xerxes.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a safer jump, to be honest. Your first jump being somewhere that you belong and that you can get grounded in, like for like a slight look at the mechanic. I haven't fully worked out how the mechanics all work, but for a slight look inside the mechanics, like think of it as like a teleport. being very familiar with somewhere is way better than not being familiar. So jumping to a timeline, 1476, a timeline you haven't even experienced yet, like you've never even been to that time, might be more difficult. So he might even say, yeah, maybe jumping straight to the prime would be a better, safer option for the first jump.
Is this a going to be a spell mechanic or an ability that's exclusive to the Time Wizard, or are all of the Prime people going to be able to learn this?
It's exclusive to the Time Wizard. It is a spell.
Okay.
But it is one that basically like it takes. It either takes a long time to do safely, or it takes a riskier time to do.
You cut numbers off the percentile basically to do it quicker.
Yeah, and it's not. It's a drain. Like it's not something that's just like, oh, we can do this, and then
bounce back.
Yeah.
Will it take a level of exhaustion?
Possibly. I'm working on the mechanics. And it might change over time too, as you get better at it. Because like I can see like whenever it is down the line, you needing to use that before the big fight, and it's like that wouldn't be.
Well, in case you haven't already looked, my level 14 ability does involve exhaustion, so having both of those things would be a lot.
Yeah. Well, let's use one or the other, I think. Travel in time is hard. What else? Questions about both sides, or if there's anything else? Let me see. So yeah, Xerxes and Selig will need to level, or just like even themselves out at 13. Make sure they're at 13. They'll be fully healed. Our Al character will be 13. I'm sure he's excited about. Preston's character, I don't even know if he's even got class levels yet, but I know where he's headed, and so 13 is pretty exciting. Might need to look at your build a little bit. And then Gildor.
He's definitely not 13 on the character sheet.
Yeah, I think he's like 10, and I can port that character.
9.
Yeah, I can't remember I can't remember where he was, because we do have a character sheet.
Yeah.
I can port that character sheet over, or you can build, the build again if you want. Like it just, that'll be up to you how you want to jigger it, or if you want me to port the character over and then you still rebuild a new one or whatever.
Yeah, I might want to just look.
Yeah, because you might want different options. There's way more options have come out, especially since that character was first built. And I just have to beef up on my incoming encounters to 13. Hopefully no one has any like major mechanics that just break all the encounters, but we'll figure it out as it comes.
I'm sure that's coming. It's got to break us right back.
Yeah, it's like, oh, actually, I forgot there was a dragon next door the entire time. That sucks.
Ooh, wait, this guy actually did prepare Disintegrate.
Yeah, exactly. What else? What other interesting bits and questions do you have?
So are we
For either side, both sides.
this is a really dumb question. You said we're gonna be focusing on like on Selig and Xerxes.
Mhm.
From like a gameplay perspective, will there be any cutting back and forth, or is it like no, we are going to navigate Xerxes and Selig to their point, and then
It'll
like,
probably be more of that.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm expecting.
gotcha.
It's gonna be, I don't know how many sessions. It's like you know how you say like a one shot, but then it's like 3 sessions.
Yeah.
This is like a 5 shot, but it's gonna be 12 sessions, or you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which
I
is-
expect it probably as a big,
I'm more
not
asking
huge.
of if you I was more that one, that's great to know, but like more asking of the prime characters don't need to already be thinking about their Viscera strategy right this second, because
No.
we have time. It's not like, oh, we're gonna do 2 and then flip back to the prime character, like, you know what I mean? So that was more
Correct,
of like,
yeah.
okay, we don't need to spend a ton of time debating, okay, what's our plan when we get the group together.
No,
Probably
yeah,
because
feel
we're
free
missing
to-
half the equation too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is a good point.
Feel free to let it sink in, and then kind of come with some thoughts. And yeah, I mean, having those discussions, be frank, having those discussions that involve me will be important for planning purposes, because being able to jump anywhere at any time in any timeline, you know, prep is impossible for any of that.
There is such a thing as a dungeon master who has to, you know, make the map.
Yeah, and like I said, some maps probably won't even be maps, and some encounters, like the game is shifting to it. Like we were on the like game breaking scale of 5th edition already, I feel like, and now 14th level, and now, I mean, we're having the effects across dimensions. So the scale is not kingdoms and, you know, saving villages anymore. This is the fight with the divines has begun. we're changing timelines and fighting the cosmos, essentially. We hear, we in it.
So, when doing these time shifting stuff, whatever spell mechanic, is it just a shifting a win, or is it also a win and a win?
Both, yeah, when and aware. Okay. Unless you're merging with your being in a timeline, which is way obviously hard, as I said, hard to do as a group, because you could
this
be on
group this group
different
never
sides of the world.
existed together all at once in like the prime timeline, maybe in the 1 in a million in some other timeline, but it's
It's kind of wild. Yeah, wildly unlikely, especially with people from different continents that you would.
Yeah.
And then it's like, can we shift and then all meet here in a year? Like, you know, like that's a question. And can we survive that long?
Or can Steven go pick them up? You know.
Yeah, exactly. Or can he try to figure out where they are, scry on them, go pick them up? You know, or you can, if other people can find other ways of traveling quickly. You know.
It's basically like Avengers Endgame, where they're trying like.
I really should watch that.
Have you seriously not?
No.
Oh, like you've taken some stuff right from there.
Oh, I mean, I know time travel, man.
Yeah.
Thanos or whatever his fucking name is.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, nailed that. I don't remember where I stopped on Avengers, but it was just like I stopped on all of them, and I really want to go back and watch them all, but I'm so far behind that it's like I know.
Yeah, nice like winter activity.
I watched all the Lord of the Rings again that was what I did.
Excellent.
Would recommend. I wish they had the extended versions like because I could have done that, but I couldn't. They only had the normal. So, if you're doing an international flight, just watch that. It's the best. It's so good. 3 in a row. Like it is. If it didn't take 9 hours to do, I would be like, man, that is how to watch that. It's just so good when you watch it like that. Such a good film if you watch it all in a row.
Well, fun fact: my parents and I are planning a trip to New Zealand next year.
And
Are you
you're gonna
serious?
watch that on the plane.
Yep, dead serious. Yep.
Download the
We're-
extended versions.
We're planning it like a year from now. So like over next Thanksgiving.
You need to talk to James. That's where James and Shelby did their like honeymoon. They did it
Oh,
like
nice.
But they loved it. They were like, we want to live here. So.
So jealous. It's my dream trip.
So awesome.
Yeah, it's been mine too.
I know.
So awesome.
It's nuts. Like you look at the photos, you're like, oh yeah, that's literally Mount Doom. That's literally what it is.
So cool. So cool. When is Rings of Power come back?
Who cares?
With the strike,
Come
probably
on.
20 years from now.
There's a strike going on. It's impossible to know.
Did they not already film it?
No, I doubt
I
it.
thought the strike ended.
Nah, it's still going.
The writer's strike ended. The actor's strike has not.
Oh, okay, only one of the strikes ended. Gotcha.
Correct.
Gotcha.
I'll act in it. Won't be any good, but I'll do it. I'll do it.
Be better.
Filming began October 2022.
Maybe they got it done. Who knows?
Expected premiere 2024. I don't know when this article was written.
Waiting for him to get delayed.
Yeah.
But maybe it's already filmed.
Did Telmar know Aubrey Ocean Dream this time?
I don't think so in his timeline. I would doubt it.
Burning questions does Steven have?
Like you said, it's also important not to get into that type of stuff because it can be bad.
Were both our parents alive?
Perhaps. You also note that he's cagey when getting into like personal stuff, because and like if you keep prying, he kind of like will re-warn like that it is like it's a slippery slope, and like a
Physical maladies aside, you seem to have had a way better go of it than I've had.
perhaps
Be nice just
But
to
I-
live vicariously
I don't
through, another
get
day.
to live to see the end of a winning timeline.
I mean, it'd be like Harry Potter talking to a version of himself that didn't get cursed by Voldemort. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's probably way better, but you're not, special.
Yeah, so like Telmar would basically say, like if I took your place in however this ends, went head to head with Viscerus, I would fail. I don't have the option to win. You might fail, but at least you have the option to win.
Already failed once.
And he would motion to his face, and he's, I've failed many times this one.
You gonna share that, or are you gonna wait for like
you know, everything to start flashing, and you know, you'll shout it to me as the timeline collapses.
Probably be something more like that.
Okay, great. Let's leave the important stuff till the last second.
Like you said, it's not that important.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, friend. That it goes on so many levels.
so rude.
This is like a Nick Fury situation where you're just gonna find out he got scratched by a cat.
I'm so, but that was such a bad choice that they did that. Like that, just let it be a mystery. We don't need to know.
Well, maybe that's what this is.
Yeah, but this is a different me, in theory.
In theory. What else? What other things? What other questions? What other character sheets do I need to? Oh yeah, you guys can actually unlock your own character sheets now.
Is it in this Roll20, or do we have
I
to
see
switch
the
games?
Yeah, now you just push a button to make a new character. Someone just made one. Yuvwa Wuvoskio. Great job.
What?
And Ashef Uchekle.
I didn't mean to do that. Can we delete that?
Yeah, unless you want a character sheet. Okay.
No.
I think you can also delete it. Don't worry about it. They'll get deleted. Yeah, they just Roll20's auto names character sheets are insane, and I just don't even understand what they even are.
Yeah, they're pretty wild.
It's like, what is that pulling from? It's just a bunch of letters smashed together. But they always have a first and a last name.
Michael, can you just go ahead and remove Blunt from Captain Hobbs' radar? I don't want him in my face anymore.
See in your, see in there.
Yeah, Lucas didn't even get his own new drop-down menu. He was just added to Captain Hop.
I think that happened for multiple people too. I think the folder just got. There's so many folders. What? Get in the MPT folder, bro.
All right, get out of there. He somehow survived.
Yeah, he's with you technically during all of this, which is.
Is he? We'll ask Telmar. Is he Prime? Is he just SOL here?
He. Where
We
did I
do- we
just
do
fucking
need-
put
we-
him?
We do need our worthless NPC. Like that's just
Where
kind
did
of
I put it?
standard.
I just lost him. I don't know where I put him. Oh, he's still there. What? No, I said I put him in the party NPC for him. Yeah, this blunt is not from the prime.
It's a tough break, Blunt. Tough break. Hate to see it.
Yeah, but
Look
that
at all
pretty
those-
much confirms that at least the Yofun that he was hanging out with was not Prime Yofun.
Yeah.
'Cause he died.
Did die. He did die.
Yeah, I was mentally coming in assuming our first order, like before I knew about alternate timelines, was that our first order was like, okay, well, we have to go resurrect Yofun so that he can give us the orb 30 years from now.
Is Stevens touchy enough where we can't say, yeah, to hell with that Yofun. He didn't matter at all. His timeline was doomed.
Don't say. Don't talk about your food like that. It was weird that Steven just stood there and watched him die. It was really strange.
Super weird. Hashtag not my Yofun.
All I assume our next session is going to give us like the actual direction for Greyforge Group.
Yeah.
Hashtag lore drop off to the races.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll start like probably like in media res, like in the middle of the beginning of whatever we're doing, if that makes sense.
The great stories always start that way.
Yeah.
I feel like I got to make sure Xerxes doesn't die. Otherwise, there'd be no one to find.
Yeah, that would be worrisome. Xerxes and Selig. Their timelines could end.
Is there a way to communicate across the timelines without jumping?
Sort of. Like sending, like to some extent, can work, but generally it's not worth it. Like it can be just as taxing and can be even more dangerous.
There's no value in trying to get a message to Xerxes and say like we might as well just go get him.
Correct. Yeah. It would probably be more difficult than it's worth, and more of a risk than it's worth. Safer to just save that type of stuff for your own time.
Where can Steven and Selig both teleport to? Is Briarwood the only place?
Steven can teleport to anywhere.
You don't need a circle anymore?
Welcome to 14th level, or did you already have that?
I already had that. We have evolved.
Just like if it feels like this could be a ships in the night thing, where if Selig and Xerxes and their new friends, if Gildor fills them in on some semblance of this and they find a way to jump, whilst Steven is also taking his crew into another timeline to find them, and they're no longer there, like, we never set like a rendezvous point for this contingency.
That is definitely for sure.
Just gotta trust the heart of the cards.
Yeah, that would have been quite the galaxy brain to have planned on this contingency to the cradle or whatever we called it.
Yeah.
If separated in different times.
Yeah, once we pass through this fire, ending up somewhere we don't know, just in case if we end up in different timelines.
Yeah.
Please break Galas. Meet at Paragus Tower.
In 1743.
What else? Any other pressing idea? I mean, if you have ideas, shoot them in the Discord and ask me or message me, whatever. But if there are questions that could be helpful for everyone to see, put in the Discord. Obviously, I may or may not be able to answer them. And this, you'll technically still be able to talk to Telmar for a while, just because. As is D&D, this now 20 hours that he has to live, give or take, will last months. So, because we probably won't see these characters directly. We might check in on them, the sense that we check in on other characters, like from third person view and such, but mostly the focus will be on our Greyforge adjacent crew. Which is sad because we lost Hop so quickly, and now we lose. I mean, we don't lose Lucas, but we do lose Lucas. He got to play just like.
Listen, Hop and Lucas both made big impressions in their short periods of time.
They really did. And Lucas
They
is
are
done. He can take part in the story if he chooses to.
Yeah, Lucas can be around.
Yeah.
They're definitely up for guest appearance Emmy nominations for sure.
And I think Hop's in a bag, so
He is in a bag. We have
lump him
Hop
on the
with us.
table. Yeah.
Can add him to the Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, he did just tell Lucas that his entire existence is a lie, basically, so.
Sort of.
Tough break.
Yeah, that's a big one to swallow.
But, you know, Prime Lucas died long ago.
Maybe he can survive if he jumps ship. I don't know how that works, but
Maybe Prime Lucas is like, well, maybe you can be Prime Lucas and resurrect the Barracuda.
There you go. Yeah, maybe we jump back and he somehow survived the PI. And he's just like an old halfling man somewhere.
And then you paradox yourself out of there.
Yeah.
Rough break.
Yeah, you guys didn't even tell him that Starrowtown doesn't exist.
No,
Yeah,
that.
he still doesn't know that. Yeah.
Nope, we're keeping that one in the pockets. No need to do that.
As a reminder, we raised Saru and he just didn't come back. He chose not to come back. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember if we did the raising or not. I'm sure we would have, but
Yeah, I believe
We
you.
did. We did. The spirit was not willing.
Preston's got a whole Tabaxi thing going on. We don't know what's going on over there, but it's a secondary mystery.
It's gonna pay off big time, though. I'm excited
There's some
for it.
stuff going on.
It's cool.
whenever the appendix is written.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking forward to your next Tabaxi character
Uh-huh.
here in Greyforge.
I never said anything. Could be anybody. Could be anything. He's surprised. He's the owl.
Caw!
See? Classic owl noise. Caw.